Welcome back, everyone, to the 515 Sports Pod. I'm your host, Spencer Schultz. We got T Woods in the house as one of our co-hosts. We got A as the other one. Steph, how you doing?
I'm good.
Hey, Hick, how you doing? Sorry about the Jets.
It's just another year for me. I'm used to it. It was slightly more heartbreaking this year, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, at least our teams were around 500. One of us can't say the same.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
cannot say the same.
College football playoffs just concluded on Monday. Georgia beating TCU. Maybe the biggest blowout in a championship we've ever seen in sports history. I'm not even just saying numbers-wise, just based off the eye test. TCU was outmatched from the get-go. Stefan, just general thoughts from that game?
Yeah, I shut it off when it got to 45-7. Just had better things to do with my life. Look, I thought Michigan was better than TCU, even though TCU won the game. I told Spence this. They play that game 10 times. TCU wins it, or Michigan wins at 9. Everything that could have went wrong for Michigan went wrong, and it was still a 6-point game. I thought TCU, and I'll still believe this, was not a top 5 team in the country. Look, they deserve to be in. I'm not saying they didn't deserve to be in, but I don't truly believe they were a top 5 team. And so I can't really say I'm shocked. I mean, I know we're not a betting show, but I put $20 on Georgia to cover 13.5 and wasn't worried at all. So I didn't expect it to be close. I didn't expect it to be 65-7, but yeah, I can't say I'm too shocked.
Yeah, I mean, I know earlier this season we talked about it, was anyone going to be able to touch Georgia this season? And sometimes the early season stuff actually ends up being true. If Michigan did play in that game, I still think Georgia beats them pretty decisively. It wouldn't be 65-7, but I think Georgia is that good that they would have blown out whoever they played. Yeah, it was just horrible to watch. TCU had that one long play. They kind of looked like they might get back in it. That was kind of exciting for 5 seconds, and then Georgia responded immediately, wide open touchdown. I gave TCU the third quarter before I turned it off to see if they could do anything. But yeah, the last time I think I was that disappointed in a championship game was probably the Seahawks and Broncos, actually. With the going into that game, sorry, Stefan, but going into that game, that was that was an exciting game on paper, and it just ended up being totally disappointing from the very start. So I think that's the only other similar game that comes to mind when I think of that championship game on Monday.
The only part I'm gonna disagree with is the that they would have decisively beat Michigan, just because I watched Ohio State be a kick away from beating them on New Year's Eve. I think obviously Ohio State would probably beat TCU. I don't know who you guys were cheering for. I was cheering for TCU, but looking back, Michigan would have been obviously the better matchup there for Georgia in the championship. Stetson Bennett, 25-year-old. You guys think he has an NFL career at all? Maybe as a backup?
I think the best thing that ever happened to Stetson Bennett is Brock Purdy. I'm dead serious. Their play styles from the NFL or from college are pretty similar, right? Obviously Bennett did it more on a national stage, but we've seen now the undersized 4-year or long-term college starter come into the NFL and be good with the Brock Purdy situation, and I think that helps his case. So I think he'll get be a 5th round draft pick. Will he get an opportunity? Who knows? But I think he'll get drafted for sure.
I do think he gets drafted, and it helps that he plays for a national championship team. If he were the same exact player on a different team, he wouldn't get drafted. But It is true that the long-term starters, if there does happen to be an injury or two and they have to step in, they just have that experience already and it doesn't really phase them, which is what we've seen with Purdy, like Stefan said. But as far as an NFL career goes, like I don't know how many years I think he sticks around, but I think he could be like a third stringer for sure. Maybe eventually become like a solid backup. But I think he's gonna have to prove himself for a couple years before a team is willing to give him a roster spot every week. Like I think it's gonna be a lot of practice squads and inactives at first.
Steph, an interesting comparison there. Yeah, interesting comparison. Brock Bowers wins back-to-back national championships the first 2 years of his career, and he still has to go back to college for another year after putting up 100 in the national championship. With that, you guys got anything else from college football? Yeah, anything else from the bowl games?
Who you guys picking next year? If you had to choose right now.
The
Who
way
wins
too
next year?
early.
Yeah, way too early. Prediction.
Oh, fudge.
USC.
Yeah, USC's in the playoff, definitely for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I can
Michigan.
pick him though, because I feel like
Michigan, everyone's back.
True.
Yeah.
Forgot everyone's back from Michigan.
Michigan for sure is a popular pick. USC, I just feel like they're gonna find a way to blow it. I just get that feeling from them.
Sleeper pick, Penn State.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Penn State.
I agree with that.
Penn State's gonna have a really good team.
And then obviously like Georgia. I mean, it's tough to not just say like, oh yeah, Georgia's gonna be there again. Especially, I don't know if you guys seen the picture of their schedule for next year floating around on Twitter.
Yeah, they will go. They will
They're
go.
going to be undefeated going into that Tennessee game
easily.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be in it again.
Yeah, I think those are the main names for sure. I'm not sure if there's any. Yeah, maybe Iowa State can sneak in there.
North Carolina.
Yeah, those would be my main names. Maybe I think Clemson could sneak back in with Klubnik at quarterback, especially in the ACC. But Florida State will be good too because they get Travis back.
Mm-hmm. We'll see how good Florida State is right off the bat because they play LSU week 1. And LSU returns a lot of people too.
Who won that game this year?
Florida State.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, speaking of Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, pretty much as always already linked to the NFL at the conclusion of the season. Obviously, he's coach for the 49ers back in their heyday 10 years ago or so. Do you guys think Harbaugh will stay or leave?
Aaron, you can go first on this.
I mean, I think if an NFL team throws a bag at him, it's going to be hard for him. He's going to have to balance, do I want to be an NFL head coach again, or do I want to try to win a national championship next year? That's going to be what's tough for him. But I do think if the right team comes knocking, it's going to be hard for him to turn down an NFL job. But I think if I were Jim Harbaugh, I would choose to run it back with Michigan for at least one more year and then go to the NFL. But since nothing is guaranteed, he might choose the NFL right now.
Spence?
I think he's going to stay just with the guys coming back. I mean, they're going to be top 4 pretty easy. Should win the Big Ten, barring that Ohio State game again. I think he'll come back. I'm not sure the openings. We'll get into it here in a sec. I'm not sure the openings any of the openings really appeal me. Broncos are at the top of that list, but I don't know. Too many doubts with a lot of those opening spots. I think he could get a better job and win a national championship in the meantime.
I think he stays as well. We'll get into my personal feelings on that in a little bit. but I think he stays and tries to win a national championship, and then like potentially hopes that like the Chargers open up next year and he can go be with like Herbert. I think that would kind of be like what I think his thought process is. So we'll see, but I think he stays at Michigan, and I'll kind of touch more on it in our next segment.
I do think there's a team that has a shot for him this year, but I'll save that. I'll save it.
Transitioning to the NFL openings, we got the Broncos, Cardinals, Colts, Texans, and Panthers. Might be more added to that list too. Who knows? I doubt it. But start off with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm gonna say we're just gonna go through who we think or who we would hire if we were each team. And if I'm the Cardinals, I would go after Sean Payton.
Can we make the rule that like you can only say a name once as well? So like, because every team would want to hire Sean Payton.
Yeah, that's fine, but I don't know if I can think of. Yeah.
Okay.
Mine's Sean Payton for the Cardinals, and you guys can repeat mine too. Doesn't matter. But Sean Payton would be mine for a variety of reasons. You need to get, first of all, you need to get Kyler back on track. Obviously, he's going to miss part of the season, if not a majority of it. But you need to get an offensive mind in there to get Kyler back on track. Second of all, you need somewhat of a culture setter. I think, obviously, it starts in the front office there in Arizona. It's just a mess. And I know their GM is stepping down, which is a huge first step. They fired Cliff. But yeah, they need a head coach that can come in there and provide a good foundation for the future. And Peyton's just the best option on the market, in my opinion. And Cardinals, besides the Broncos, I think Cardinals are the best team to go to if you're a head coach right now, vacancy wise.
So I'm gonna say Sean Payton as well. I think him with Kyler makes the most sense. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a rebuild for sure, and I'm not sure he's gonna want to go there. But if I'm the Cardinals, I would do everything in my power to get Sean Payton.
So I'm saving Sean Payton for a different opening. I think historically, teams that fire an offensive head coach go in the opposite direction and vice versa, which is why I think a good fit for the Cardinals would be Jonathan Gannon, a young defensive coordinator for the Eagles. If you look at what he's done with the Eagles defense, he would be primed to try to do something similar with the Cardinals defense, because the Cardinals defense could definitely improve. And really the main reason I say this is because I just think because of how things worked out with Cliff Kingsbury, they're just going to go in the opposite direction with the defensive coach, because historically that's what happens. And one of, if not the best, I think DeMeco Ryans is probably the best defensive coach that'll be on the market, but Jonathan Gannon is up there.
Alrighty, let's move to Stefan's team, the Broncos. Stock, do you want to go first or last? Or
I'll go last here. I want to hear you guys' too.
all right, Aaron, go ahead.
So I saved Sean Payton for this. The Broncos literally cannot rebuild, so Sean Payton doesn't have to worry about that. Russell Wilson, despite what happened last year, is a prime bounce back candidate, and Sean Payton likes Russell Wilson, and I think he's made it somewhat known that he likes Russell Wilson. He'd be open to working with Russell Wilson, possibly. And because the Broncos have no choice but to win now, Sean Payton is the most win now coaching candidate on the market. I think it just makes too much sense. They already have a top defense. You just have to figure things out on offense. And the best coach on the market that gives them the opportunity to do that, in my eyes, is Sean Payton.
For this one, I'm going to go with Jim Harbaugh, one of only two coaches that has had college success. I sent Stefan the stat. Pretty crazy, but he had success with the 49ers, obviously. And this team is kind of built similar to how the 49ers were built on that defense. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have many concerns about this hire. You'd obviously have to throw a lot of money, but you wouldn't have to give up a first-round pick like you will for Sean Payton. Obviously, the most important priority here is figuring out Russell Wilson, but I think that happens more with your offensive coordinator hire, which, I mean, there's a guy named Nathaniel Hackett out there that would make sense. But Harbaugh would be my hire.
I hate you. Okay, so my top two choices are clearly the two that you have listed as a fan. I would prefer Jim Harbaugh over Sean Payton, strictly because we don't have to give up a first. And I think his tough nose, like his style of play, works best with how the team's built already currently over Sean Payton. Look, he likes to have a little bit of a mobile quarterback too, as well. Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, Andrew Luck at Stanford, JJ McCarthy at Michigan. Like his style, everywhere he's been, like more of a mobile quarterback. Where Sean Payton had Drew Brees, who we all know wasn't mobile. So I think the stylistic fit is better with Jim Harbaugh. With that said, I don't think they get either. I really don't. I don't think Sean Payton comes, and I don't think Harbaugh leaves Michigan. So, excluding those two, my choice is Ben Johnson, the offense coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He fixed Jared Goff. Jared Goff had arguably the best season of his career. That offense was very, very good. This year, obviously, like they didn't make the playoffs strictly because they had the worst defense in the league. So I don't know I don't think they're going to go the first time head coach route again. I think it's either going to be Harbaugh, Payton, or Darren Quinn. But if I can't get Harbaugh or Payton, I want Ben Johnson.
You said Dan Quinn?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it would probably be at the absolute bottom of my list with David Shaw probably following him. Next team, let's go with the Carolina Panthers. Steph, I'll let you go first on this one.
I think I would keep Steve Wilkes. Look, like when they traded McCaffrey, they basically were like, we're tanking the season, and then they had a do or die game against the Bucks in week 17. He did an insane job. They were up to even get them there. They were up 11 in the fourth quarter of that game. Like I think all the players talk about how much they respect him and want him to stay as the coach. I think the best thing to do is to let him stay the head coach and continue to build there. I didn't think he got a fair shake in Arizona anyway, before he got fired. So if I'm the Panthers, I would stick with him.
I 100% agree with that. I think you got to keep I think first of all, I think it sends the right message to the team if you keep Steve Wilkes. And second of all, it's just the right thing. Like he did everything he possibly could to earn it. If you look at how much better that team was once he stepped into that role, it's completely night and day from early in the season under Matt Rule. I know Wilkes is a defensive coach, but just how much better Darnold got when he was free from Matt Rule too was as a former Jets quarterback who I thought a lot of what happened was Adam Gase's fault. It was cool to see Darnold make some plays that I kind of always thought he had in him. But yeah, I think you got to give Steve Wilkes another year. If next year he sucks, get someone else. But I think Steve Wilkes earned it with what he did this season.
I would have to agree. Went 6-6 since taking over for the Panthers. And when you don't have a lot of talent, you have to establish an identity. And he did that with in the running game with Hubbard, with Foreman. Not the most talented roster, but he figured out ways to score and ways to win. So yeah, I think he's definitely earned another year. That's about all I got to say for the Panthers. Let's go to the AFC South. The remaining 2 openings there. Start with the Indianapolis Colts. Aaron, who do you think?
If I'm the Colts, I'm going after Jim Harbaugh. You are in prime position to trade into the first overall pick and draft. I would draft Bryce Young, but you have your pick of whatever quarterback you want. Jim Harbaugh gets to mold and work with a young quarterback who's drafted first overall. And even if they don't draft quarterback first overall, they draft a quarterback 4th overall. So you still get a young quarterback to work with. Jonathan Taylor is a bounce back candidate. When the offensive line is healthy, it's one of the nastiest offensive lines in the NFL. The defense is pretty average and can improve, but I think it's an underrated, like the Colts are kind of an underrated situation for a new head coach, I think. You get a clean slate with a young quarterback. You have Jonathan Taylor. I think if I'm the Colts, I'm putting all chips on the table for Harbaugh.
I'm gonna go Steve Steichen, I think is how you say his last name. Offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Like you said, they're in prime position to trade up. We saw how he was able to develop Jalen Hurts. And I think he'd be able to do the same with Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, whichever one they want to take. If they move up to the first pick, young guy. Look, Irsay likes to keep control. He's not going to get that with Harbaugh, so I don't think they're going to go that route. Even though, like, it would be a really good hire, and I think it is an underrated job, like you said. I don't think Irsay's going to want to give up the power, and he's going to want a first-time coach. So I think they'll go Steichen. And that's who I would hire too, because of how he developed a young guy.
I'm not sure what I got for this one. I'm thinking D'Amico Ryans here. Get that defense back on track. I know Shaquille Leonard missed a lot of the year. Kenny Moore's a good corner. Got DeForest Buckner on the line. Now I think the Texans will get Bryce Young because I don't know if the Colts will trade up to 1. So in that scenario, Colts might end up with like CJ Stroud. But yeah, I think you need to, with what's been going on this year, you need to reset that culture, kind of like the Cardinals. And that Jeff Saturday hire, I mean, as expected, was pretty disastrous. I don't expect him to have much of a shot. But who knows with Jim Irsay leading. I'm going to go with D'Amico Ryans, build a defensive culture there. Yeah, I agree with Aaron, though. The Colts aren't a horrible spot to go to. Now, quickly, the Colts, what do you think about oh, no, never mind. Never mind. All right, let's go to the Texans. Likely to have Bryce Young, I think, with the number 2 pick. Bears get the number 1 pick as the Texans beat the Colts on that last-second touchdown last week. Yeah, could be the difference, though, in them not getting Bryce Young, which would be costly. Stefan, who would you hire?
I'm going to go Jonathan Gannon here. Aaron talked about him a bit earlier. I think they need to just get a culture setter and look, he's like the leader of a top 3 defense. And all the guys in Philly seem to love him. So I think like it's a pretty good hire. I think they're going to go first time route. They've kind of gone weird the last 2 hires, Lovie Smith and David Coley. I think Jonathan Gannon's more of a common name in this one, and I think they'll go with him.
So I'm also going with a guy who I believe is a culture setter, oversees the number 1 defense in the NFL, also a former Texans linebacker, D'Amico Ryans. I think D'Amico Ryans would be a great fit for the Texans. Their defense definitely has some promise. They're in a good position to revamp their offense. If you look at what D'Amico Ryans has done in San Francisco, he has a lot of respect. He's a big part of the winning culture they have in San Francisco, where no matter who goes down or who has to play, they just always seem to perform next man up, and that's because of their culture. And the fact that he is a former Texans linebacker, I think D'Amico Ryans is just a really good fit for Houston.
I'm going to go with Stefan here, going with Gannon. A lot of these offensive hires lately some of them have been big time misses. With a team like the Texans, I think you go with a defense coach in Gannon, even if you draft Bryce Young. As you said, the past 2 hires have been disastrous. They need this one to be good. It's too bad Eric Bieniemy is kind of a head case because I think Bieniemy would be a perfect hire here if you do get Bryce Young. But yeah, we'll take a quick break and then come back with playoff picks and other NFL news. Sticking with the NFL, it was announced that Arizona Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins will likely be on the move this offseason. Hopkins just posted an Instagram post. Could be a sign that he's on his way out. Quickly, what team would if you were these teams in the NFL, who would you who should target Hopkins?
All right. I think we can all agree on a couple. Say what?
And what would you give up?
I would probably only give up a third at this point. I think he's past his prime a little bit. I think his contract's pretty big, right? It's like 2 years, like $45 million.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
Or something
it's
like
2024. And the next 2 years have a cap hit of 31 and 26 mil.
Yeah, see, I'm not giving up any more than a third or a fourth. With that cap hit, which is crazy. All right, teams who I think we can all agree should be interested. The Giants, the Ravens, the Packers, the Patriots, the Bears, I think are your clear like top 5 that should be interested. A sleeper one for me is actually the Chiefs. They're gonna lose Juju. Like they might lose Juju. He's a free agent. They only signed him to a 1-year deal. Pretty sure they only signed Valdez-Scantling to a 1-year deal. Obviously, they traded for Tony. He's got more years left. But like out in the receiving room, like what do they have? They have Kelsey. Like if they come up short this year, I wouldn't be shocked if they went after him.
I agree with all the teams you said. I also think the Titans are a team that could really use them. I don't know what kind of trade the Titans will make because the Titans are just, I don't know. The whole AJ Brown trade was just terrible. But to partially make up for that, they should go after someone like DeAndre Hopkins becoming available, which it's kind of like admitting your mistake for trading AJ Brown, but it's better to admit your mistake immediately and trade for someone like DeAndre Hopkins than just pretend like you didn't make a mistake. So that's why I think similar to the Chiefs, where the Titans wide receiver room is just like Treylon Burks and who pretty much. I think DeAndre Hopkins is someone that they should go for. But the team who really has the most on the line, I think, with this is the Bears, just because I think you've got to get someone for Justin Fields, and I guess the Ravens too, because you've got to get someone for Lamar Jackson, but at least he has Mark Andrews. Justin Fields has nothing, so I think the Bears have more on the line than the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm reading right now that the Bears have the most cap space in the NFL. Only thing I don't know about that is they just gave up an early second for Claypool, so I don't know if they'll be willing to give up more draft compensation for another wideout. Yeah, I don't know. I think you guys listed them all. Stefan, the Valdez-Scantling's on a 3-year deal. I agree on the Chiefs, but I think they'll bring back Juju. I think he fits pretty perfectly with the Chiefs offense. I think expect Sky Moore to take a step in year 2. So yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know who else would make sense really.
Who's kind of like
I'm-
a sleeper team that like you
I
guys
mean,
like?
There's
I mean, I
there's a
don't know.
lot of teams. There are a lot
I
of
don't know.
teams who are going to do due diligence on DeAndre Hopkins.
I don't know like what their cap spaces look like, but the Bills and Vikings could use number 2 because I think Thielen on his way out. He's aging. But again, with these top receivers, they already have Jefferson and who did I say? Vikings and Bills. They already have Jefferson and Diggs, so I don't know. You probably wouldn't want that much money allocated to your wide receiver 2, I guess. And I don't think Gabe Davis is wide receiver 2 worthy. I think those 2 teams will be in search of another wide receiver, but I guess with that cap hit, I don't know. It's gonna be hard. You're obviously gonna have to find a team with a lot of cap space, and those teams typically tend to be the bottom feeders.
A sleeper
As
one
a-
for me, I guess, could be the Cowboys. After
Yeah.
CD, who do they have? Like Gallup
Well,
hasn't been good this year.
It would be a very Jerry Jones thing to do.
Mhm.
See a big name and just take a big swing. I agree with that. As a Jets fan, that cap hit does concern me a little bit, but as long as like they pay Quinn and Williams and everything first, I'd be okay with giving up like a 3rd-round pick and Elijah Moore, because then you have Garrett Wilson and DeAndre Hopkins, which accomplishes 2 things. It gives you someone opposite Garrett Wilson, and it gives you someone for Garrett Wilson to learn from, because DeAndre Hopkins can be a mentor to him. And then you immediately have 2 number 1 level receivers for whoever the quarterback is next season. But that's like a crazy what if, because I don't think the Jets will trade for a 30-year-old receiver with that cap hit. But it is something that I want them to check in on, because I personally would give up Elijah Moore in a 3rd-round pick for DeAndre Hopkins.
I think if I was Hopkins, my top 2 options would be, I think, the Ravens and Packers. Yeah. He'd be
Yeah,
clear
assuming
for-
Rodgers is back. Yeah.
The only thing with the Packers though is that you're getting traded to the Packers for 1 year of Rodgers, and then who knows? So like,
Yeah.
are you willing to go for it all with Rodgers for 1 year and then have complete uncertainty after that?
I
Yeah,
read on, I don't know how true it is, but I read on Twitter that Hopkins has a no trade clause, so he can kind of pick and choose who he wants to go to.
And to be fair, he has 2 years left. So, I mean, after that first year in Green Bay, I guess he would only have a year left.
I mean, he could force his way out. He could get traded again 2024 if he really wants to, honestly.
Bears was one of the teams we mentioned. They have the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft, as we talked about earlier. Plenty of debate on what they should do with it. They have Justin Fields, obviously, at quarterback. Ryan Pace.
Polls.
Pace,
Yeah.
Pace is their former GM that got fired. Now they have Poles.
All right. He said Fields was their starter next year, but kind of left it up in the air. Which obviously it's a tactic because there's gonna be teams that are wanting to trade up to select Bryce Young and or CJ Stroud, with their number 1 pick. But it does bring up an interesting debate on what they should do with the pick. Should they keep it and select, best player available, Jalen Carter out of Georgia? Should they trade the pick back and still have a chance to get a guy like him or Anderson, later in the top 10? Or should they pick Bryce Young and trade Fields, which has been thrown out there, or even stick with Fields for a year and possibly select a quarterback next year? Stefan, what do you think?
I'm not taking Bryce Young this year. I'm sticking with Fields for sure. If they're really bad and they get the number 1 pick again next year, I guess, and you want to move off of him then your options next year I think are better, and Caleb Williams or Drake May. I would move back though, for sure. I think you have to move back, right? Like you're more than one piece away. Like it's not like adding Jalen Carter and all of a sudden you're like a playoff team. Like I think you have to move back and get draft picks because you're multiple pieces away. Like you have the number one pick for a reason. But you got the number one pick and what I believe is your franchise quarterback going forward there. You got to get him some weapons. You got to get picks. You can't just take one guy. And so I think you have to move back.
I think the smartest thing to do would be to move back with the Colts moving up to number 1 to get the quarterback of their choosing. I think the Colts would probably give up their first round pick next year and so number 4 pick, second round pick this year, and probably a first and second round pick next year too, at least. For the number 1 pick, yeah. For the number 1 pick, yeah, I think they would.
I mean, we did
And-
just see Russ. I mean, well, we could just think back to drafts. What, the 49ers gave up 3 first to get up to number 3?
Mm-hmm.
So
For the number 1 pick, the Colts are giving up at least their first and second round pick this year and first and second round pick next year. That's what I think.
yeah, I'd agree.
And if
probably
you're the
like
Bears,
a 5th.
and if you're the Bears, you have to do that. You are setting yourself up so well for the future. That's a trade that a new GM like Ryan pulls. Like you just have to do that. And then trading down to number 4, you're still going to get like Will Anderson, who they traded away Roquan Smith this season, and he just got a bag from the Ravens. Will Anderson can come in and be your new game wrecker on defense if he develops the way that a lot of people believe he will, and I believe he will. He looks like he's going to be a very good NFL player. So yeah, if I'm the Bears, I'm taking calls from the Colts. I'm letting the Colts give me an absolute haul. I'm moving down to 4, and I'm drafting. I mean, I guess it depends on who's available, but if I had to guess right now, I'd say number 4 would be like Will Anderson for them.
Well,
And then you have to go out and get a receiver too, but you can take care of that, like trade up into the first round or do it in the second round or trade for someone like DeAndre Hopkins.
the other thing you could do is like trade down to 4 and then trade down again. Because like
Madden style.
I mean, like think about it. Like Bryce Young's probably going to go 1. CJ Stroud probably goes 2 to Houston, right? Who's picking 3?
Seahawks.
No, Denver got down to 5 with the win.
No, it's
Really?
oh my gosh, I think I just had it. Yeah, it's the Cardinals.
Okay, well the Cardinals aren't taking a quarterback. They've Kyler.
The Cardinals would take Jalen Carter, I think.
Yeah, I think they take Jalen Carter too. So like if a team likes Will Levis, moves up to 4, wants to move up to 4 to get him, you can move down again to like 8 or 9. Like say Carolina likes him, right? Carolina's picking what, like 8, 9?
I would just take Anderson. Whoever's
Like,
the best.
You can move down even more and just be loaded with draft picks.
Yeah, but at some point, I think you want to take the best players available. I think I would take the best player left at 4. On the flip side, if I'm the Colts, I don't know if Bryce Young is worth all of that. I don't know. First and second this year and next year, I'm just not. I don't know. I guess I'm not as sold on him as everyone else. But I guess if he's your guy, he's your guy. I would trade down if I was the Bears too, but I would still send my scouts to the pro days for CJ Stroud and Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they see Fields on a day-to-day basis in practice and stuff. If your scouts think Bryce Young is better looking than Fields, I would seriously entertain trading Fields. I know Fields showed elite rushing upside this year, but I just haven't. I know he hasn't had the weapons, but he's shown nothing in the passing game, in my opinion. And I just don't think it'll get much better, even if he gets a weapon. So yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents. I guess on the flip side, Fields, what would that net? Something similar?
I don't know if it nets that much because he's got 2 years left till you have to pay him. And he's not like a bona fide superstar yet.
I think the fact that he is on a rookie deal, I think gets you a second round pick, but not a first round pick.
I think he might be able to get you 1 first, but I don't think he's getting you 2.
Oh, I think I think he'd bring 1 first and a mid-round pick.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
See, I'm thinking like a second and multiple mid round picks over like a first and a mid round pick. But I mean that.
Well, what do you guys get for Darnold, Aaron?
A third and a fifth. But Darnold was way more damaged goods at the time than Fields is now. Like a third and a
no,
fifth
that's why I was
really
asking, because
good
I was
for
like, I know you guys got multiple picks for him. So I was like, if he got like a third and a fifth, Fields, I think, could get you a first and a fourth. First and a
Yeah, I can see that. I can see like a first and a fourth, or like I could see a second and a fourth too. It depends on how negotiations go, depending on the team.
Now they have too many options. So, but the perfect fit for Fields would be the 49ers.
They're not going to take him.
Yeah, but they're not going to have Trey Lance and Brock Purdy and
I would have considered it if not. I would have maybe considered it if not for Purdy's emergence. But yeah, you don't do it with Lance and
I was wrong. I forgot. The Jets got a 6th rounder in 2021 and a 2nd and 4th rounder in 2022, which is insane.
Yeah, he's landing a first.
That is insane for Sam Darnold. So I adjust what I said. Justin Fields gets a first for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Agreed. All right. Picks.
Yeah. Let's move into our picks for the host season.
Well, before we touch on that, let's take a look at the final standings of the regular season.
Hey, I had to make up some ground, so I had to pick opposite of you, because I had to make up some ground somewhere.
Yeah, you try. I mean, for sure, it was close coming in, and then all the games we picked opposite went my way.
Which actually, I was going to put in our chat. Texans were going to be my lock of the week, in our other chat, but yeah,
I mean, close. So. Yeah, 134, 75, 1, 128, 81, and 1, 125, 84, and 1. I mean, we were all probably, I think that's all in the 60 percentile. So not too bad for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, we'll go with you first.
All right, before we get started, Lamar Jackson, pretty much not expected to play. So is Huntley?
Huntley's expected to play.
All right, so you got Huntley versus Joe Burrow, and then in the 2-7, you've got Skylar Thompson expected to start. I don't know, Bridgewater hurt his hand or his finger last week, and Tua still not cleared from his concussion. Yeah, go ahead.
With that said, Aaron, I'm pretty sure we can easily just put Buffalo, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Man, some of these games would have been really good if quarterbacks were healthy, but
agreed.
Yeah, easily Buffalo and the Ravens. Maybe their defense can hold the Bengals off for like a half, but without Lamar Jackson, there's just no shot. So the Bengals are winning that one.
I think we're gonna have really similar picks for the first round, and then I think it can get interesting. Who you got, the Jags or the Chargers?
Chargers. I think Herbert is just gonna be hungrier than Lawrence at this point of their respective careers.
All right. Now in the NFC, 49ers?
Yes. Unless Purdy finally drops a stinker, but that defense is too good.
Giants or Vikings?
I know it's a divisional matchup, what makes it kind of sketch, but what was I going to say? The 49ers defense has owned Geno all season. So, yeah.
All right. Vikings or Giants, Aaron?
Just because of the law of averages, I'm picking the Giants, because the last time the Vikings played the Giants at home, it took a 61-yard miracle from Greg Joseph. So I think the luck goes the Giants' way this time.
Now, do you go with the Bucks and the GOAT, or do you go with the Cowboys?
This is so disgusting because the Buccaneers aren't good and the Cowboys are major choke alert every year. Oh, this is the hardest game to pick in the entire first round. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
All right. We'll stick here in the NFC real quick since we're already down here. Eagles, Giants.
Eagles. If Hurts is back, which he will be.
Yeah, he will, considering he played in the Week 18 game.
And then easy 49ers pick. Super easy 49ers pick.
All right. And the AFC. Now this is where it gets tough in the AFC. Chiefs, Chargers.
Chiefs.
Yeah, that one's pretty simple, I think. All right. And then, I mean, what we thought was going to be the game of the year. Obviously, we didn't get it for unforeseen circumstances, which thankfully he's out of the hospital. Looks like he's going to be able to make a full recovery. So that's awesome for Hamlin. But
They got to have him walk out of the tunnel, lead the team out of the tunnel ahead of the playoff game.
He's he filed a trademark for did we win?
That's cool. So who do you have in the game that we thought we were going to get, and now we finally get in the divisional round?
Hold up, this isn't neutral. The neutral isn't until AFC Championship, right?
Correct. It's in Buffalo.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm still riding. I think I'm gonna ride with the Bengals. I don't know. I like the Bengals a lot. I like Joe Burrow a lot.
All right.
I'm sticking with the Bengals in that.
With that said, we get a rematch of the AFC Championship game from last year. Do we get the same or different outcome, Aaron?
I know Burrow is undefeated against Mahomes, but it's hard for me to say that Mahomes is going to let it happen again 2 years in a row in the AFC Championship.
So the Chiefs.
So, yeah, I'm going to pick the Chiefs, but I think the Bengals can still win that one, but I'm going to pick the Chiefs just because I don't know if I see the same exact thing happening to Mahomes 2 years in a row.
All right. And in the NFC, we have the Eagles versus the 49ers.
Offenses are similar, so I'm picking the better defense, 49ers.
All right. So we get a rematch of Super Bowl. What was that? 45 or 55? I believe.
Yeah. What is this year's? What, 57?
Yeah.
That's just crazy that it's Super Bowl 57, first of all. But I remember when it was in the 40s. Like, yeah, that's just crazy. But yeah, I think that is a rematch of 55.
And your Super Bowl champion is?
This seems like such a homer pick because of Brock Purdy, but I really just like the 49ers are just so good. They're just clicking on all cylinders. I'm picking the 49ers. And it's not only because of Purdy. They just have everything going for them.
I will see how mine goes, but I might be agreeing with you. All right, Spence, Bills pretty easily.
Yeah. You guys think so I got So
you
guys
got the
think
Bengals?
you guys think they should have made this a neutral site too, or no?
I think they should have.
I think they
Because
should
if
have.
Bengals win that game, it's in Buffalo or it's in Cincinnati.
Exactly. I'm actually going to go with the Jaguars here. Home field advantage, and perhaps the most underrated aspect, major coaching advantage here with Doug Peterson over Staley.
All right. I know you're going with the 49ers. Don't even need to ask that one. Vikings or Giants?
Vikings.
Vikings. And I'm not going to ask the next one because we already have money on it. But you are rolling with the Cowboys.
Oh, speaking of, Aaron, we put money on Giants Vikings too.
Because see, I'm not as confident in the Giants as Stefan is in the Bucks. But because in the spirit of the playoffs, because you guys put money on a game, I'll put money on that game. I'll put $10 on it.
All right. I got $20 on the line in this AFC weekend.
All right.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys here for a surprise. Divisional matchup, which I'm noticing. I feel like there's more possible. Maybe I'm just tweaking, but I feel like there's more interdivisional matchups possible in these playoffs than normal.
I agree.
Which that obviously makes for naturally closer matchups. Cowboys defense has kind of fallen off with their pressure over the past few months. Key in that game is Dak Prescott. He has not looked good, but I think, I think they do it.
And I assume you've got the 49ers beating the Vikings.
Yeah, I'll go with 49ers, yeah.
All right. And then the AFC, does the Jags pull off the upset?
No, not a chance. Chargers would obviously, I think, have better chance in that one just being within the same division.
And like I said, game of the year. Didn't get it. We get it finally. Who wins it?
They're going to see DeMar come out of that tunnel. And, Bills can't lose that game.
All right. And then the AFC Championship game on a neutral site. Chiefs, Bills. Who goes to the Super Bowl?
I'm going to go with the Bills. Chiefs have looked better all year, so the Chiefs would be the easier pick here, but I'm going to go with the Bills. The big advantage in this game is taken away from both teams, obviously, going to a neutral site. I'm going to trust the defense of the Bills more. And I saw Micah Hyde just got activated to return to practice, at least, opening up his 21-day window. If they get him back with Poyer in the defensive backfield, that defense is better than the Chiefs easily. 49ers advance.
And do we get Brock Purdy Super Bowl champion or Josh Allen Super Bowl champion?
Now, I was honestly going to go with 49ers because they're the most well-rounded team right now with that elite defense. Brock Purdy playing great football. Obviously, McCaffrey was a huge acquisition. But I'm not going to go with 49ers because Aaron picked them. I can't pick the same one. We got to have something different.
Yeah, you can. Okay. No,
All right. So
I'm going with the Bills. Josh Allen, I think, is going to cut those costly mistakes come playoff time. I am worried about Gabriel Davis being their number 2. He's disappointed all season long, but defense gets healthy at the right time. Offense makes plays.
So you're saying if I didn't pick the 49ers, you would pick the 49ers?
Yep.
So his pick is the 40. Put
Yeah.
that down, Stefan. His pick is the 49ers.
we know it's on camera.
It's
All
a
right.
win-win. It's a win-win. If the 49ers win, I can say, I was going to pick them.
So
The Bills win.
my AFC, pretty simple. Buffalo, Cincinnati. And I'm stealing this from Nick Wright, the prince that was promised. He is going to win his first playoff game. Now,
I don't know, man. I think it's very possible that Justin Herbert just looks on a different planet than Trevor Lawrence in that game. That's why I picked the Chargers. But I can see the Jaguars winning. They definitely have the coaching advantage.
so I am going to agree with Aaron
Steph, you want in on this?
and
You want
take
to
the
throw
Giants.
more?
No, I'm not. I don't want money on the Giants because I can never bet on Daniel Jones. But this is why I have $10 on the Bucks, and you're gonna see it on the screen because I'm gonna write what it is. Tom Brady. He's beating the Cowboys. All right. NFC. Eagles win pretty easily. And as much as I believe in Tom Brady, they're not beating the 49ers.
He will be in hell if they play the 49ers.
But I will say this. if they play the Eagles, they're beating the Eagles. He will get to the NFC title game if the Vikings beat the Giants and he gets the Eagles, he's making the NFC title game.
So the Eagles will play an NFC East team unless if the Seahawks were to upset the Niners.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right?
Yeah, they'll play if the Seahawks don't upset the Niners, they're guaranteed to play an NFC East team because unless the Vikings and the Bucks win.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, do I do it? I can't do it.
No, come on, man.
I can't do it.
No
I want
way.
to. I want to take the Prince that was promised, man.
Not
my
at
God.
Arrowhead.
Hey, there's a difference between liking Trevor Lawrence this season and being delusional. Okay,
I want to, but I think he's a year away. Oh, this game's so tough.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'll say. I think the Bengals would win, except for I think Hamlin's going to come out with the team, and that place is going to erupt because it's the Bengals, and I don't think they're going to lose that game. So here, I think the Bills finally get over the Chiefs in the playoffs. They've beat them in the regular season multiple times. I think they finally get it done in the playoffs. Neutral side, I think, is massive. And in the NFC, I don't want to take the Niners because we're all on the Niners, but I'm going to take the Niners.
clear best team. They're the clear best team.
Yes, they are without a doubt the best team in the league, I think.
Whoa.
What?
In the league?
In the league, without a doubt.
They're the best team in the league.
Wow. All right.
The only worry I have is how does Purdy play in the playoffs? I mean, he's passed, every test in the regular season, but we all know playoffs are a bit different. So that's my only worry. With that said, I think he can struggle against Seattle, and they'll be just fine because of that defense and that run game.
We've already seen
The thing is that their run game and their defense is so good that even if Purdy struggles, it can still be a 49ers win.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I'm going to go back a little bit because I want to do it. We're going to flip this to the Tom Brady Buccaneers. We're going to take the Vikings.
Also, they got Debo back, and then also got Elijah Mitchell back, which is an underrated.
And then we're going to take the
return.
Tom.
His connection with Kittle too, like I don't want to say he's like reviving Kittle's career because Kittle has been good before, but he's like Kittle has looked like the old Kittle again with Purdy as his quarterback, which I think actually says a lot about how Purdy knows how to find his guys.
And I will also take the 49ers. I'll say this. If the 49ers somehow get beat before the Bucks play them, because I think the only team that beats the Bucks in the NFC is the 49ers. If the 49ers lose.
What did you just say?
Yep, you heard me. I think the only team in the NFC that beats the Bucks is the 49ers.
Okay, I have an issue with this because the Buccaneers are not going to be coming back against the garbage that is the NFC South anymore. They're going to be trying to come back against legit playoff teams. They get in a hole and they're not Brady.
Okay, here's what I'm going to ask.
He's the comeback king, but it's not
here's
happening.
what I'm going to ask. All right. Bucks or Giants? You taking Tom Brady or Daniel Jones?
The Bucks are the second worst team in the playoffs.
No, they're not.
Okay, maybe third worst.
They are the second best team in the NFC.
They played in the worst division, maybe the second worst division.
They have
And they
Tom
they
Brady.
scraped to an NFC South win.
They have Tom Brady. Y'all keep writing this man off.
The Eagles
I'm not
have the one
specifically
seed.
writing him off. There's just so many teams that are overall better teams.
I'm not betting against Tom Brady unless it's the 49ers.
And the Eagles have the 1 seed, and they have one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, how can you say the Bucs are better?
You see that name on the screen?
He's that shell shocked, dude. I can see Brady.
Is Tom Brady.
I can see Brady's wiener poking through your cheeks right now.
He's not.
He's the greatest quarterback of all time.
He is the greatest quarterback of all time, but
it's a go. I know it's for Tiger Woods.
He
but
misses so many throws now. His stats are deceiving because they played from behind.
His best game of the year was his last game.
Well,
Don't let the boys get hot. Bucks to the
Brady
NFC Championship game.
You guys know who Brady cheated on Giselle with now. It's clearly been revealed as Steph Stock.
Breaking news on the 515 Sports Pod.
All right.
Any other? Well, we got 25 seconds. So, any other quick thoughts? Not really.
Nope. I'd like to announce that I've actually been a lifelong 49ers fan this whole time. I'll be.
We're all Brian Brock jerseys if they win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Deal. Shake.
Follow us on Twitter at the 515 Sports Pod. Like and subscribe to our YouTube. See you guys next week.